Welcome, Greek U Nation. It's episode number 506 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our fifth book just came out. It's called Perseverance and How to Be a Great Fraternity or Sorority Alumnus. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together. Fun fact, I cruised through high school without ever really learning how to learn. In college, luckily, I had the help of older fraternity brothers in my major to help mentor me and let me know which classes I needed to take, as well as which professors I needed to take them with. Now that I'm wrapping up my doctorate in December, I finally know how to learn and how to research. It's a skill that's not really taught in school, not even on a master's degree level. So today we're going to talk more about learning and self-leadership. Our next guest is Douglas L. Schmidt. He is a firm believer in the power of self-leadership. He advocates for personal discovery and the idea that obstacles can be powerful teachers. They form the foundation of Doug's approach to life and work, driving a passion for helping others to unlock their potential. His belief in self-leadership will motivate and inspire you on your journey of personal and professional growth. He's got an MBA in marketing and a BS in finance. Doug brings a wealth of knowledge and experience of personal growth, business, sales, and marketing. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Mike, I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I've been looking forward to this all week, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
So let's talk a little bit about your undergraduate experience. You know, you went to school on one of my favorite campuses in the Northeast. It's Penn State for your undergraduate experience. So why was Penn State your choice?
I'll make it really simple. My brothers went there, so I went there. It wasn't a complicated decision. My brothers, so I decided to go there. I didn't do a lot of self-evaluation or analysis. Going back, I'd do that, but honestly, because my brothers went there.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, listen, the Lions, just an incredible campus, incredible school, incredible students, all of the things. And I heard you joined a fraternity there too. Which fraternity did you join and why did you join those guys?
Phi Sigma Kappa.
Yeah, okay.
The reason I joined it, I was living at the dorms at the time, and I wanted to get out of the dorms, but I didn't want to go into an apartment. So I decided to go to a fraternity. So that's why I joined the fraternity, and I had a great time at the fraternity. I had a lot of friendships, had a great time. And I enjoyed being in a fraternity.
That's great. I love it. I love hearing that. That's really good for me. And you wrote the book. It's called The Power of Self-Leadership, Unleash Your Talents, Strengths, and Superpowers. Tell our audience, what made you want to write this book?
Well, a couple of things wanted me to write it. I was, I'm 69 now, so I was 68. I think I'll be 70 soon. So what have I done? What have I done? And I looked at all my life experiences and I thought, hey, I can possibly write a book about that. And I had some great role models and mentors as role models. The role models for the book. I said, you know what? Let me write this book. Start writing a book. And another reason why too is my role models and heroes are authors. I'm a big book reader. I'm a big believer in learning. So for me to keep up with them, I said, hey, I got to write a book too. So that's why I decided to write this book. Right now, it's in editing right now. It'll be published January 2025.
That's fantastic. So at the end, we'll find out how to connect with you so that way the students can basically connect with you after back in January and then order your book. I think that's great. And it is interesting to me too, is that the older you get, you start thinking about your legacy. You start thinking about like, what was I on this earth to do? What am I going to leave with? And then also same thing. I started writing books, and so we published 5 books. Where our 6th book is going to come out in December. So it gets easier and easier to write the book too. Once you get one done, you start doing more, and that's how it kind of evolves.
Well, I'm already thinking about doing another one, but the first one, as I called my friend, I'm a crash test dummy for writing a book. I thought, oh, it'll be a couple months. No, it wasn't a couple. It wasn't a couple months, and I ran into a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
But I got a coach, and that was the most important thing too, is get help. And that's one of the things I mention to students. If you're stuck or trying to do something difficult or challenging, get role models and mentors. It's so critical to do that because those people, they'll be the guides. They'll help you through these, whatever challenges you face. It's just, your networking, they're so critical today, especially
Yeah.
today.
Totally agree. And many of our listeners are in fraternities and sororities. So you have a whole bunch of built in mentors. Just reach out to an older alumnus, and I promise you, they're going to help you.
Yes.
I mean, it might not be today if they have a full calendar, but they will help you. They will get to you if you try to contact them on LinkedIn, whatever. Now, let's talk about discovering your talents, strengths, and superpowers. I feel like this is what college students struggle with the most. They don't know what their direction is in life, and they're constantly comparing themselves to somebody else to figure out if they're on the right path. So, how can students best discover what their superpowers are?
First of all, I want to compare myself to other people. That's a trap. And one of the traps right now we're seeing the psychological health of students today or young people is social media. You'll compare yourself to the social media people that are billionaire, whatever, it's performative, doing whatever, and we compare ourselves to these people. That is just a trap, and that is creating a lot of psychological issues for young people today. There's a great book called The Anxious Generation. It's just written about that, comparing ourselves to other people. Now, of course, we do that, but all the social media stuff to me is a trap. That's one thing I'd look at. Number two is what's unique about you. We're all unique individuals. Like, for example, I have friends of mine that are engineers. I'll never be an engineer. I know people are great with cars. I don't like working with cars. I have friends of mine that are nurses. I don't like blood. Okay. So I'm not gonna, that's not my talent, strengths, and superpowers. So one of the things is self-evaluation, to start evaluating, hey, what am I really good at? What am I here for? What do I enjoy doing? And also too, professionally, what do I enjoy doing? But also when there's challenges and obstacles, what will I stay persistent with and have grit to stay with it? Because each time we level off from going from, say, high school to college, we have to level up our game from college to being professional. You have to level up your game. So what am I willing to do the work and to excel in? And if I'm willing to do the work, it's really hard to be a top professional or top student, or whatever. So that's one of the things I'd look at is what am I naturally good at?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, what I'd recommend too is most of these schools have career counseling centers. The first thing I do is when I go to these schools, I'm going to go to the career counseling center. Let's start right away because these schools are expensive today.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when I was growing up. These schools are very expensive. I'm spending a lot of money on education. So I'm going to go to the career counseling center. Most of these counseling centers do a great job on helping students get an idea of what direction they might want to go to, whether it's medicine, law, engineering, whatever. So I'd go to the career counseling center. I'll give you an example. I went to Delaware County Community College 15 years ago to get career direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I still use that book today. It's called Do What You Are by Tiger and Barron. That'll give you an assessment of what your strengths and your weaknesses are and opportunities within that various profession. Again, it's a framework. It gives me an idea so that I can move forward and I can start investigating careers that are suitable to my talent, strengths, and superpowers, and hopefully make a living doing it also. Does that make sense?
It does. I love that you're taking advantage of the Career Counseling Center. I think, you're paying for it anyway with your tuition. So you might as well stop into that office and take advantage of what you're already paying for. You're paying for those people who are sitting behind the desk with your tuition. So, take advantage of that. They're there to help you. And I also love the fact that you said to do it early. I mean, the moment you drop in there as a freshman, you should be talking about it. Don't wait until senior year to say, well, I don't know what direction I'm heading in. And I need to find a job. Like the worst time to start networking and to figure this out is when you actually need a job. Start
Yes.
early.
Yes, I've been there. So that's the worst time to do it. Also, too, you look at some of these professions. Look at your professions because I've talked to people who have $100,000, $200,000 worth of debt, and guess what? Their professions aren't going to pay that back. They're just not.
Yeah.
So get an idea what go to that career office like the first week in school. You're paying for it.
Yep,
go
might
there.
as well. Might as well. You know, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was learning because I'm not sure I really ever understood how to learn when I arrived at college. I mean, I just went through high school, didn't study, got good grades, got accepted to the university that I wanted to, the first and only university that I applied to. Another mistake, but that's neither here nor there. So how do you develop learning as a superpower?
First of all, learning is a superpower. First of all, understand the neuroscience of learning. That's one of the first things I did. What is how do our brains learn? So there's a great book called Learning How to Learn by Barbara Oakley, Oakley, who wrote with a neuroscientist guy named Terry Sinowski out of Princeton. So they did a comprehensive research on how our brains learn, what obstacles get in our way, procrastination, learning, because learning's challenging, and then specific tools and techniques how to become a learner and develop that as a superpower. Let me get back to this too. The way I got involved with this was I needed to do this because my friend, well, this goes back a few years ago. There's a guy I used to work out with who got deployed to Afghanistan. So we took care of him and his family, got him babysitting, money, and he do a lot of stuff for his family. So he sent me a thank you letter from Afghanistan, and I read it. I said, this guy's a world-class leader. So I didn't know it at the time, but he was a college professor, and then he became a college president. So I was in his office. He had hundreds of books. And he gave me a book to read called The Power of Communication. So the book was dog-eared, had writing all over it. I go, this guy's a learner. So I put it in the computer really fast. I go, for me to hang out with him, I better be a learner. If I'm not a learner, to be real frank, he's going to get rid of me because he doesn't have time for it. So that was the catalyst for me to start studying best learning methodologies based on neuroscience and how we learn. And that's why I got involved in this book called Learning How to Learn by Oakley, Oakley. So that increased my confidence and ability to hang out with these great leaders, and also to increase my confidence and ability to be a learner. And I call it now, it's my superpower.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Hopefully, our audience will go out and pick up that book. I think that will certainly help them out quite a bit. You know, we were talking a little bit about networking and mentoring and finding alumni to help to direct you. And I'm not sure that the college students really have developed their skill in networking to get their dream job. So the question is, what is your advice in terms of networking for college students?
I talk to college students a lot. Here's the thing I tell them: you have an advantage. You're a student. Most people want to help out students. They just do. It's a natural inclination. So if a student's looking for advice or wisdom or ideas, most people want to help them. It helps both parties. So number one is don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to reach out to alumni. Don't be afraid to reach out to professionals. Don't be afraid to reach out to authors. Because you're a student, people want to help students. They want to make this world a better place for the most part. So what I did and what I recommend to students is that go to Vistaprint, get customized thank you notes. Put your name on it, put your connections, your email. If you have a LinkedIn, put your LinkedIn ID down there, and develop these personalized thank you notes. So if you meet somebody, if you read a book, you have a professor, send them thank you notes. It's amazing what these thank you notes do. It gets you in the door in a lot of places that you don't think you can get into.
100%.
So I definitely recommend thank you notes, following up with thank you notes, whoever that might be.
Totally
And
agree.
yeah.
Totally agree. I mean, you know, we in the mail as professionals, most of the stuff we get in the mail is bad stuff. It's bills. It's things that we owe, right? And so when you get a thank you note, it's totally opposite what we normally expect when we open something in the mail. And that really stands out to us because it's so unusual. So be the unusual person. It'll make you stand out in the eyes of the person receiving it. I tell you what, I just got there was another guest on our show and she was from Hawaii, and she ended up sending me a thank you note in the mail for being on the podcast. I received it yesterday, along with these like chocolate clusters with like macadamia nuts from Hawaii. I mean, I opened this up. I almost fell off my chair. I was like, wow, like this is so far above and beyond. And I'm going to remember that like for the rest of my life. So it stands out. And I'm telling you, if you want to be top of mind with the person receiving it, that thank you card goes a long way.
Right. Now, so if she called you asking for help,
Yep.
what are the chances you'd help her out?
100%. I would drop whatever I'm doing. And it really didn't cost her much. I'm telling you, it didn't cost her more than like, a couple of bucks. And she sent it and I received it. And I was like, man, oh man, I'm willing to like go through a brick wall for her now.
Right. Right. And yeah, let's go back to thank you notes. Thank you notes aren't expensive. One
Right.
time I was so broke one time. I bought 8 thank you notes for $1 at the dollar store. That's how I started all this network.
Yeah.
And I 8 for $1. So the stamp was like 65 cents. And I started sending these thank you notes to all the authors of the books I read.
Yeah.
The thank you notes, it's actually called a PEA. It's a positive emotional attractor. It lights up part of your brain, gives you a dopamine hit. Hey, this is good. I feel good. I like this.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. And I agree. Vistaprint is a great place to get those custom note cards for really cheap. They're cheaper than you think. Just go onto Vistaprint and look up those custom thank you notes with your name on the front. I'm telling you, it'll stand out. Really good stuff. The other thing that I noticed too about college students is procrastination. It's a major problem for our listeners. So, how do you avoid procrastination?
First of all, procrastination is normal. Our brains are wired to procrastinate. It is. Here's why. Learning is a stressor to our brain. Learning or anything we didn't like, it's a stressor. What it does is it consumes sucrose. Our brain wants to consume sucrose. So anything we don't want to do, there's a part of our brain that lights up. It's called the insular cortex. It goes, I don't like this. I don't want to study. I'd rather go eat ice cream. I don't want to do this. I'll avoid it. I don't want to do this. I'll go watch some other show on TV. So uh, it's normal to procrastinate. And that's why our brain is hard. So that's one thing. So if you procrastinate, it's normal. You're not a freak or there's something wrong with you. Because what happens a lot of times too, you procrastinate, people start labeling you. Oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work, whatever. So realize that our brains are wired to procrastinate. So what I do is I develop strategies how to overcome it. So for example, when I'm writing this book, I have a specific place. I know I go to a library a lot. Specific place in the library. When I go there, this particular desk I work in, I'm there to work. I'm there. That's my place to work. So I'm sitting there. My brain goes, "Hey, I'm here to study or write this book." So that's one of the things too is being in environments where you're there to work or study in the habitual. So I'd recommend for college students, because you have a lot of free time, is set time that you go to a specific place you're going to study or whatever activity it is. Make sure you're concentrating on focus on that. The second thing I see with a lot of students is they have their phones with them. They got that phone out. Get rid of that phone when you're studying or concentrating, because that phone, what that does, it impacts your ability to focus and concentrate.
Yep.
Relate to how the bigger picture, relate to how this process relate to your bigger goals. Your habits and activities, keep doing that, and they'll relate to your bigger goals, you'll be more able to achieve them if you develop these habitual habits versus trying to think about it every day and how they relate to your goals. So for example, if you're going to go to med school, you got to get A's or B's. You have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out the tools and strategies. Hey, I have to be at a learning place. I have to study for a certain amount of hours to accomplish these A's and B's, to develop these habitual habits. So that's one of the things I do. I try not to think about, it's kind of weird. You can't think yourself out of procrastination. It's more of a doing step than thinking about it. If you actually do the activity and do it for a couple of minutes, what happens in our brain is that those uncomfortable feelings start to dissipate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just the initial inertia we make that decision. I don't want to study. I'm going to go eat ice cream or whatever activity. I'm going to avoid that. It's that initial inertia that's where you need to develop the activity just to move through that.
Got it. All right. That's really good advice. I like that a lot. And the other thing I was thinking about too is that, just because somebody's in your fraternity or sorority doesn't necessarily mean that we're best friends, right? And the same thing happens in the workplace. I mean, you end up having to work with people that maybe you either get along with or maybe you don't get along with, but ultimately you're a team. So we all have this mutual goal, right? So
Right.
what if you have toxic people on your team? What should we do in order to deal with them?
Depends on the toxic person. I'd say number one thing is if you have a toxic person, whether it's behavior, whatever, don't don't react to them. Don't get sucked into their stuff. Don't because a lot of these toxic people, they love for you to get in the mud with a pig. So, and sometimes it's hard to do because reactions as you do, but don't get sucked into their activity or whatever they're trying to do. Because a lot of times that's what they want you to do, engage in this crazy type behavior. Um, Also to develop tools and strategies how to overcome these people. So for example, say you have a toxic worker that's really toxic. If you can, stay away from them physically. If you can, move your desk or move someplace to work because those people are radioactive. The closer you are to them, the more they impact you psychologically. Bob Sutton did a study on that. So if you can, move away from that.
Mhm.
If you can, develop strategies and tools to not engage in their inappropriate behavior, whatever they're doing, and try not to overreact emotionally. Don't give them fuel so they can have debates, whatever. Just try not to engage them in their crazy behavior.
Yeah, really good stuff. I like that approach. So, there's going to be obstacles and challenges in every one of our lives. I think that's one of the things that I want to impress on college students is that, they see success today and they think that it's a straight line to get there. But the truth is that it's anything but. It's a series of wrong turns, U-turns, left turns, right turns. I mean, there's nothing straight about this line of this journey that I've been on. So,
Right.
what's the best way for our listeners to deal with all of the obstacles and the challenges that are going to come up in life?
Expect them.
Yeah.
Expect obstacles and challenges. I think for me, when I was growing up, I was never taught that. But expect obstacles and challenges and use those obstacles and challenges as a learning experience. So I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, I took a coaching course. So my coach trashed me, gaslit me, projected on me, just trashed me. So she was interesting. So I didn't really react. My coworker said, "You're not saying anything." I said, "I get it." So I didn't like that. But what I did is I started doing research on narcissistic behavior. She's a classic, what I call a covert narcissist. So I used that negative experience to learn. So if you can use these obstacles and challenges as learning experiences, number one, don't necessarily go, "Oh my God, this sucks. I'm powerless." Don't be a victim to it.
Mm.
Number one. Number two is find mentors and role models that have overcome these challenges and obstacles. If you find them, who are they? Well, I'll give you an example. Two examples would be two all pros, Jason Kelsey and Tom Brady. They
Sure.
were 6th-round draft picks.
Right.
So that's a big obstacle. Most of those people get cut, but they use that as a learning experience where somebody who's number one didn't have to do the work that they did. So
Yeah.
they actually improved by realizing that obstacles and challenges actually benefited them because they learn more than say somebody who's more like a 1st-round draft pick.
Yeah.
So you can use those as again learning experiences versus I'm a victim to it and don't play the victim card. That's the worst thing. I have friends in the military. I never play the victim card with them. Never. They don't want to hear that.
Hmm.
So don't play the victim. Use that as a learning experience.
Yep.
And they're all as much as they suck sometimes, because they do. Use them as and how can you learn from that,
Yeah.
and then move on from that.
Yeah, that's an interesting experience that you had with the narcissist. And now, the
Oh,
next time you meet somebody that fits that mold, you know how to work with them. You understand what needs to be done in order to get over this obstacle. So you learned, right? I mean, that's all we can do in life.
yeah. There's a great book called Ryan Holiday wrote a book, "The Obstacles of the Way." Is the
Mhm.
way. When I first read that book, I hated it. I go, this book sucks, right? I didn't like it because I didn't know the obstacles. But then he said, "Hey, look, reframe your thinking. Obstacles and challenge. You reframe your thinking. If studying is hard, hey, how can I be a better studier? Right? If these courses are hard, how can I do that? If I want to be a challenge to take these courses, how can I learn? How can I be a better learner? Use those obstacles as challenges and opportunities to learn.
I love it. So I know you're in the Philadelphia area. I get there quite often because all of my in-laws are in the Philadelphia area.
Right.
So I'm wondering, next time I'm in Philly, where should I go for a great meal?
Well, I used to work at the Four Seasons Hotel. It depends how much you're going to spend. I'm a big dive bar. I'm a dive place person, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a place called, they changed the name, Tony Luke's at 2nd and Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
It has cheesesteaks. I love the chicken parm sandwich. They have great French fries. They have great classic, I don't want to call it bar food, but classic, like South Philadelphia food, cheesesteaks, roast pork.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a dive, but it's not your Four Seasons. So I
Right.
like that place here. I believe it's 2nd and Oregon.
I like that chicken parm sandwich. That sounds really good right about now.
That's
Now
my
you're
favorite.
now you're getting me
So,
hungry for lunch.
we know too, the prices are reasonable too, because as
Yeah.
you know, going out today, it's become really expensive.
Yeah, it is really expensive, but that's great recommendation, especially for college students that are in the Philly area. They can go there for that chicken parm sandwich and they'll be real happy and full.
Right after you go to an Eagles game or a Phillies game.
Yeah, absolutely. Always fun to do. All right. So if our listeners, if they want to pick up your book in January when it comes out, it's called The Power of Self-Leadership, Unleash Your Talents, Strengths, and Superpowers. Or maybe they just want to connect with you as college students. They need some mentoring. Where should they go in order to connect with you?
Connect with you on LinkedIn.
All right.
So it's connect me on LinkedIn, and I'll just connect with you. Say, hey, we are on this podcast here, and I'll definitely, if they have any questions, I'm definitely willing to help them out. And what I can do too is, if my book's not published yet, I can send them a draft copy of it,
Oh, that'd be great.
and they can give me some
Fantastic.
feedback too. And if
Yeah.
they need help or questions, assistance, hey, definitely I'm here to help.
All right, that sounds good. So it's Douglas L. Schmidt. It's spelled Schmidt. Douglas L. Schmidt. Look him up on LinkedIn, and he is the author of The Power of Self-Leadership, Unleash Your Talent, Strengths, and Superpowers. If you connect with him on LinkedIn and you mention that you heard him on this show, on the Fraternity Foodie Podcast, he'll send you a free draft of the book just to hear what you think about the book and give him some tips and some opinions. So that way he can make those adjustments before it goes to publishing. So that's a really exciting opportunity for college students. So thank you so much for being with us today, Doug.
Thank you, Mike. Been a
All
great
right.
call. Thank you so much.
Of course. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Doug, I want you to like it and I want you to share it on social media. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.